All right, man, peace. So, Indiana Pacers star shooting guard Victor Oladipo has emerged as a prominent figure and a prominent player in the Eastern Conference since departing from Oklahoma City and being the teammate of Russell Westbrook. I wonder why that is. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
High volume. One of the best stories in the NBA is happening right now in Indiana, a round ball love affair starring Victor Oladipo. I mean, seriously, this is a narrative that would make a Hollywood writer salivate. There's so many storylines. Here's one. Vic went to IU, so there's a whole homegrown kid made good angle. And here's another one. You could do the whole rise, fall, rise again, triumphant thing. I mean, after all, Vic was the number 2 overall pick in the draft, remember? Came into the league with all these expectations. Sputtered a bit in his early years in Orlando, and the fact that he was able to keep his resolve as he rotated through 5 coaches, 3 different franchises, that says something big about his work ethic that, frankly, no one should ignore.
I agree. It definitely says a lot about his work ethic, his focus, his belief in himself, that he can go through that in the last how many years he's been in the league and now starts to transcend. But I personally believe that one of the key factors in his emergence is the fact that he's playing on a team that is actually allowing his skills to shine. And look, I've mentioned this numerous times. I believe that Russell Westbrook is a phenomenal talent. I think that he has great skills, but he has no understanding of the game whatsoever. And a testament to transcendent players, great players, is that they're able to help other good players become better players. And for the most part, other players can come to their team and their understanding of the game goes up and their numbers oftentimes will go up. When Larry Bird played with Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, so on and so forth, they had their best seasons. Of course, Kevin McHale never played with anybody other than the Celtics. But Larry Bird made his teammates' jobs easier. LeBron James makes his teammates' jobs easier. And he's somebody who dominates the basketball, but he still allows his teammates to do what they do best. Kevin Durant had to leave OKC to become the player that he could become, to fulfill his potential, because he understood there was no way that he was going to be able to do that playing alongside Russell Westbrook. Victor Oladipo, we're seeing the same thing with him. But let's let them continue on.
Of course, the storyline most folks seem to want to go with is the Paul George angle, since Vic and Domantas Sabonis came over in the trade for George this summer. And I get it. People in Indiana feel very hurt by George. It is easy for Pacers fans to villainize him, and man, has it been easy for them to embrace Oladipo by...
Look, I really don't understand NBA fans' infatuation, this ritual that they have when former players come back to the arena, where they start to yell and vilify them and carry on. It's really not that serious. All it is a business. Everybody knows that. If they would have traded Paul George for Kevin Durant, no one would have said anything. No one would have minded. But because he decided that he was going to leave and they stated, okay, we're going to trade you as a preemptive strike, now suddenly Paul George is this and he's that. We saw the same thing with Kevin Durant. We saw the same thing back in 2010 with LeBron James. All of these players have the right to go where they want to go. That's why you're not supposed to have any emotional attachment. It's very much akin to what I tell brothers about the sentiment of quote unquote falling in love. You're not supposed to put anything on a pedestal or make it an idol. Many of these so-called fans, they take star players and they put them on a pedestal. They start to idolize them. They get not only an emotional attachment to a performer, a member of a quote-unquote franchise, but they get a spiritual attachment. And you're not supposed to do that. That's the only explanation as to why these fans, they make such an emotional investment in a person who has a contract. He's not there willingly. He's there because he's contractually obliged to be there. Even if he willingly signed a contract, he is still contractually obliged to be there. So, I mean, we have to separate reality from idealism. In an ideal world, oh yeah, Victor Oladipo or Paul George or whoever is really a part of the Indiana Pacer family. But in reality, there is no family in business.
By comparison, especially when he's dropping clutch gems like he did this past weekend. Did you see him on Friday night against Cleveland? He scored 20 in the third quarter alone and would finish with this huge, watch it, huge step back three-pointer over Kevin Love to help break the Cavs' 13-game winning streak. But that turned out to be just a warm-up for last night. The Pacers were down by as many as 19 to Denver before Oladipo led a relentless second-half charge. By the time Indiana won in overtime, he would have 47 points, including 8 of Indiana's last 10 in the fourth quarter.
He may make the All-Star team this year, particularly as shooting guard. It'll probably be him and Bradley Beal competing for that top spot. But I'm pretty sure, just thinking about it right now, that both of them will probably make it. Because guard is not that strong in the East right now. I mean, at the point guard, you have Kyrie and you have John Wall. And at shooting guard, you're most likely going to have Bradley Beal and Victor Oladipo.
6 points in overtime. The whole performance set the fieldhouse on fire, with folks chanting MVP and Vic by the end of the game. It was just really fun in an arena where, frankly, there wasn't nearly enough fun last season.
And good for Oladipo. He was able to go somewhere else and maximize his potential. I'm always in favor of people going somewhere where they can maximize who they are or what they can do.
Which leads us back to the Paul George thing. Earlier this season, I opened one of our shows talking about what a stud Vic is and how it would be a mistake to only judge him through the lens of the Paul George trade. We had some fans insisting that straight up he was a better player than George, who was of course a four-time All-Star, Olympic gold medalist who has played in 2 Eastern Conference Finals. Frankly, that comparison is not only short-sighted, it's just a huge disservice to Vic. Because yes, the Pacers have a better record right now than the Thunder. But so what? If that changes, will that make Vic suddenly not valuable in Indiana? Of course not. Victor does not have to be a better player than Paul George. He just has to be the right player, the right fit for Indiana. And it isn't enough for me to keep saying it. I will refer you to Victor himself after last night's game. Quote, "I'm getting sick and tired of the comparisons with Paul George and myself. He has moved on. I have moved on from a situation that I was in. Life takes its course. Things happen."
Agreed. And that's the only way to be a productive individual in life. Life only goes forward. It doesn't go back unless you're Marty McFly. That shit does not go backward. It only goes forward. So you can only make the best of a situation, whether it's bad, good, or somewhere in between. Just maximize whatever situation you're in and try to make it better. So he has a great attitude, which is why he's flourishing where he's at.
Happen. I gotta say, Nick, I don't think you're gonna get your wish there. PG and the Thunder are coming into town on Wednesday, so there are going to be 3 more days of people doing the whole column A, column B thing. But if you love what Vic is doing this season, just try respecting what he asks and pick one of those other many awesome storylines to focus on.
Well, fans are not going to do that because fans, once again, they view players as property. They view them as almost like a pet. They have an emotional attachment to those players. And they had an emotional attachment to Paul George, and now they're developing one with Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo is kind of like the new dog that replaced the old dog that ran away. That's how they view him. So you cannot avoid those comparisons. But to me, the more pertinent issue is the Russell Westbrook aspect of this situation. Paul George is now in OKC. His numbers are down. Victor Oladipo was in OKC last year. Now he's somewhere else. His numbers are up. Kevin Durant went to Golden State. His efficiency numbers are sky high. Why is that? Because a lot of the undue, unnecessary stress of playing with Westbrook and not knowing when you're going to get the ball, where you're going to get the ball, has been alleviated. Russell Westbrook's idea of getting his teammates involved is feeding them in the post and running to the top of the key. It's not running a real offense. And let me say this. Part of it's not totally Westbrook's fault because they need a coach who can come in and tell Westbrook, look, this is the system that we're going to run, and this is the system that you're going to run. But it's very, very hard to find a coach that would have the equity to speak to Westbrook like that because they have spoiled him so much. They've given him all types of awards in OKC to make him feel like he's somebody who's above reproach. And then you have people like Michael Jordan, who's constantly, who is constantly allowing the comparisons between him and Westbrook to be validated by saying, yeah, I see a lot of myself in Westbrook. Bullshit, Michael. Bullshit. You were a 50% shooter. Westbrook is a 40% shooter. I see likenesses between Westbrook and Jordan in regards to their aggressiveness, but decision-making on the court, no, not even close. Jordan was a far better decision-maker on the basketball court, and he wasn't even a point guard. He was also a better defender. But it's the mental approach that, to me, is the most important when you're talking about a point guard, because it's the point guard's job to empower other prominent players on his team. And Westbrook does not do a good job of it. And then on top of that, you have the liberal sports media who are constantly telling him that he has to dominate and he has to do what he did last year. Well, motherfucker, if he's doing what he did last year, why the hell bring them other guys in then? Because all he did last year was jack up shots and run up his stats. So what the hell he need them other guys for then? You do the same thing you did last year, you're going to get the same results you got last year.
This is a man who had to play in Russell Westbrook's shadow last season.
Well, he had to because he couldn't get the ball. The man couldn't get the ball. Westbrook wasn't going to say, here, Vic, go to work. And even if he did, that's a crude, rudimentary thought process in regards to the game of basketball. There's a reason why Golden State and Houston and Cleveland are at the top, and Boston, because they understand the intricate aspects of offense and execution. I know in the case of Cleveland, their offensive style is not that advanced, but LeBron James is a mastermind on the court. Problem is that LeBron, when he gets to a level where he has to go against a team that has a team concept, he cannot defeat that because LeBron has no plan B. I've stated that already in the past. It's the LeBron James system, and either it's going to be good enough or it's not. Now, Russell Westbrook is like a miniature version of LeBron without half the basketball IQ. So it's going to be a Russell Westbrook system when you play in OKC. There's no other system.
Shouldn't have to play in Paul George's shadow now. So, Kevin, I wanted to try to judge Vic for just the arc that he has been on. Number 2 overall pick, didn't really have the right roster in Orlando, didn't have the spacing. We saw last year with the Thunder. What do you think now of how he has improved in Indiana? Most improved player? Are we that far?
Oh, I think when you talk about disparity between last season as essentially a league average starter to probably an Eastern Conference All-Star this season, he's an interesting example in how a changing role can change the outcome.
I agree. And just to answer Rachel Nichols' question, I believe that most improved player is going to come down to Oladipo and Porzingis on the Knicks.
In this respect, you know, it's easy to say, oh, he can play off the ball or make cuts, as he should do off Russell Westbrook. Some guys are better with the ball in their hands, and he has always been a playmaking combo guard.
Yes, that's true, and players are also more likely to make cuts and do a lot of things off the ball when they feel like they're going to get the ball. When Russell Westbrook gets the ball and just starts dribbling, he's not looking at anybody else. He's only looking at his defender and who's guarding the rim, because he plans on going on one of his rim runs.
And he's been able to do that. And his assists are up 2.6 to 4.0 this season. He's shooting better from 3, 36.1 to 44%. But I just think, and he's been allowed to be Victor Oladipo. I can only think of one guy in the league who's able to sort of play off guard as a playmaking guard. That's CJ McCollum. Mm-hmm. It's an extremely hard thing to do. And I think in the era of the dominant point guard, we're just too easy to say, well, oh, that other guy, oh, just put him off the ball. He'll succeed. It's harder to do that for some guys.
And he makes very valid points, particularly in this era where the point guard is given much more carte blanche to take whatever shot he wants. Most of the top point guards in the NBA right now have a green light. So it's very difficult to be an off guard in this era. You're pretty much at the mercy of your point guard.
Than others.
Yeah, and we're seeing the flip side with Paul George about fit, right? He hasn't found the fit next to Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City.
Ding.
Doesn't mean that he is not an exceptional player in the NBA still. Isn't quite working the way they want it to work yet. We will talk.
Well, there's only one constant there where players are going there and they're not fulfilling their potential. There's only one constant, that's Westbrook.
We'll talk a little bit about Oklahoma City later. I do want to stay on Vic, though, on this most improved thing. Because it's funny, the first couple weeks of the season, there was KP. I want to look at some of the guys who are sort of vying for this here. You've got Porzingis, and you kind of put up each guy's case that they're making. KP, 9 30-point games, 3 in the first 2 seasons total, so really that's a big leap. Oladipo, of course, you see his numbers up there. Huge, just huge jumps. Brandon Ingram making his case here in LA. And
Brandon Ingram's doing a great job in LA, but no, he's not going to be most improved player. But he's doing a great job. Very aggressive, great penetrator, makes good decisions with the basketball in regards to when he decides to go to the basket. Very aggressive, strong finisher.
And Aaron Gordon, those three-point shooting, the whole way they're moving the ball and changing the offensive style in Orlando. We've seen it sort of work in fits and starts there. Who do you sort of see as the other big contender?
I can talk myself into just about any of those guys. Oladipo is the guy.
Yeah.
It's profound.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And also, look at the team itself. I didn't have them at 15-10. I don't know that I had them winning more than 28 games this season.
Yeah.
I have to get a look at Oladipo for him to say that Oladipo is the clear favorite, because I've seen Porzingis for most of the year and he's been great. So for him to be speaking in such a laudatory manner about Oladipo, maybe I'm missing something. I have to catch one of their games.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Nate McMillan credit for that. And Victor Oladipo just winning Player of the Week. The producers are telling my ear. So look at that. Breaking news right here. Oladipo, not the only one leaving people in all this.
But anyway, that is the video on Victor Oladipo. He is definitely on the rise. That tends to happen when you escape the clutches, the black hole in middle America, known as the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the force of nature, the action movie known as the Russell Westbrook experience. But anyway, peace.